Assalamu alaikum everyone. Let's talk about etiquettes of the mosque. First of all, in Arabic you might be hearing this term masjid, Masjid. And what does this mean? It basically means mosque in Arabic. And masjid is another way of what it really means is a place where you put your head down, where you bow down or prostrate, right? Place of prostration. And this is the position where you put your head down on the ground and you're praying to Allah. So masjid is a place of worship, not anything else, right? So that's something we want to keep in mind. Also, it is and sometimes it is referred as the house of Allah. House of Allah. Now this is not what it means where he lives there, but this is where he's the closest. You want to get closer to Allah, that's the best place to go. And in fact, some of the virtues of a mosque is that Prophet Muhammad said that whoever builds a mosque for the sake of Allah, okay, building a mosque, right? If you do it in this world, Allah will make a house in paradise for you, house in paradise, or something like it. So there's a huge reward in building a mosque. Why? So when you're in a community, there's a lot of Muslims around, and you guys are driving hours or two just to get to a mosque, and only for Friday prayer, it's time to build a mosque in your town, in your community. And there's a huge reward in it, as it is mentioned to us by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. So here I have pictures of some of the mosques that we should be aware of. Now this is the Grand Mosque right here. Grand Mosque. You can, there's different names that it can go by. One of them is, of course, this black box that you see right here. That's the Kaaba. That's the central focal point of Muslims' direction when they are praying. There has to be a unity amongst all the Muslims when they're praying. Otherwise, people are praying all over the place. We're commanded that all Muslims from all around the globe, whenever they pray, they have to face towards this mosque. So you can see at that mosque, here's that box, and all around it you have people facing it. As the circle keeps on going further and further, you could be all the way up in Toronto, Canada, and now you have straight lines, but it's still part of a big tangent that is going around this Kaaba. So from all over the world, people have to make sure that they face towards the Kaaba, and it's easy to find out. You have maps in these days, and it has to be a directional, just overall high level directional, direction that yes, we are facing towards the Kaaba. So if you're in Canada, and let's say the Saudi Arabia, because that's where this mosque is towards northeast, and don't be facing east or south, right? Make sure that you're facing northeast, and that's the Grand Mosque. Now Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, told us that if you pray at this mosque, it is as if you prayed, it is better 100 times more, 100,000 times more than praying anywhere else in the world. And then there's his mosque. And by the way, not many people know about this, but this is basically Prophet's mosque. Now the way it used to be was that it was actually and this is in Medina. So this guy right here, the big mosque, the Grand Mosque, also known as Haram. This black box is called the Kaaba, and this is in Mecca, in the modern day Saudi Arabia, and this is in the city of Medina, which is also in Saudi Arabia. And right here, this green dome, so close to it, underneath it, is basically the grave of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. So the way it used to be was, it was his house right here, and right next to his house there was the Prophet's mosque, and then when he was buried inside his house. And then the more kings started coming in throughout the time, and they started expanding the mosque, and now his grave ended up being inside the mosque. And we're not allowed to have graves inside the mosque, but this was just something that this is one of the special circumstances. But you're not praying to Prophet Muhammad at his mosque. This mosque is also faced towards the Kaaba, and if you pray over here, it is as if you prayed 1,000 times. This is the virtue of praying at the Prophet's mosque in Medina. It is as if you prayed 1,000 times at any other mosque, and 100k times in the Grand Mosque. And again, this mosque is also facing towards the Kaaba. Now, this is called Masjid al-Aqsa. and this is in modern day, Palestine, Jerusalem area. And this mosque is also one of the holy places of prophet in Islam. In Islam, we're not allowed to make a pilgrimage and say, hey, you know what, for the sake of God, we want to get reward, we're going to go visit the Islamic Center of Chicago, for example. And it will be, because a lot of times we see at churches, people go and travel to a specific church, and they're walking on the stairs with their knees for some reason, thinking that that's purifying your sins. But again, our way of worshiping as a Muslim should be only according to the way Prophet Muhammad has taught us. We're not allowed to make a special trip to any other mosque besides these three. And we know and that's because Prophet instructed us to do so. And and these are the three major holiest sites in the Islamic world. Now, this is a typical American mosque, right? American or Canadian, North America, maybe you will see something like that in Europe as well. But mosque doesn't have to be a very special structure with domes or anything like that. You can see this mosque doesn't have a dome. Maybe it has a little bit of Islamic architect, but it is what it is. It can be a room at your university student center or so, where you can. The key is all these mosques must direct towards the Kaaba. So you could be out in a parking lot and just make sure when it comes time to pray, you face towards the Kaaba. And praying at the mosque is better than praying at home, and you get a lot more reward. And we already talked about how building a mosque has a lot of reward as well. Now, this is a typical mosque, which this is how it will look like from inside. Ignore the chandeliers and the domes, because those are just extravagant. But the key is all you need is a plain floor. This is where the imam or the leader will stand, and everybody else will be right behind him. Now, this is facing towards the Kaaba. So the way people build the mosque is make sure that it is facing towards the Kaaba. And simply all it is just a big plain floor, sometimes carpeted, most of the time carpeted now. And even if it's not, the key is that you are facing towards the Kaaba, and that is how a mosque should look like. And this is a quick intro of how a mosque is from all over the world, and some of the holiest sites that you have on the screen, and also a typical mosque that you would see in our modern day in North America, Canada, Europe or so. And some of the other virtues of a mosque are that Prophet Muhammad told us, peace and blessings be upon him, that mosques are the most beloved places to Allah. Mosques are most beloved places to Allah. And of course, in the same when he's preaching this, he also talked about the marketplaces, business places are the most hated. And that doesn't mean you're not allowed to do business or don't go there, but go there not for roaming around and having fun, but just go there for whatever purpose you got, and then get out, because that is where cheating can happen, and you're so close to the worldly life that it can divert you away from the main purpose in our life, which is afterlife, in order to get closer to God. So make sure that you are. Now, that doesn't mean that you live at the mosque, because you're not allowed to be at the mosque. If it's not time for prayer, get out, go make some living, go make a business. But overall, what we need to know is that that the mosques are the most beloved places, and try to stay away from marketplaces, or at least cut it down and not be there unless there's a purpose. Now, as we know, we have already talked about wudu, right? There's the ablution or washing up yourself. So Prophet told us whoever does wudu, okay, walks to the house of Allah. Now, we all know what house of Allah means, walks to the mosque, okay? And again, the key is that it is for obligatory prayer. Obligatory prayer. And we'll get into that. We know the timings of the prayers, and there's the 5 daily prayers. If there's there's voluntary prayers as well, and there's obligatory prayers. So I'm talking about the ones that you have to pray in your day. You walk to the mosque to pray those, to perform those prayers. Prophet is telling us that one step that you take will wipe your sin. Okay, one step is going to be wiping your sin, and it will also elevate your status in paradise, which gives us a sign that paradise is not equally equal for everybody. It's not like do or die. Either you go to paradise or hellfire. But yeah, even and the same thing in hellfire. There's different levels of punishments, and same thing in paradise. There's different levels of reward, and one of the way you can be gaining more reward in order to elevate your status in paradise, and this is the only life to elevate that status, is by walking towards the mosque, because one step will wipe your sin, and also it's going to be elevating your status. And while we're at the topic of mosques, and we're talking about the obligatory prayers, know the voluntary prayers. It is better to pray at home. It is better to pray at home. Why is that? Because if you are all about praying, and whether it's voluntary or obligatory prayers, and you're always praying at the mosque, then what about at home? You need some blessing at home as well. You need to be remembering Allah at home as well. So we need to make sure that we leave some prayers to be praying at home as well. But always try your best to be praying at the mosque when it comes to the mandatory prayers. Now let's talk about some of the manners. So now we know how a mosque looks like, some of the mosques around the world, and some of the virtues as well. Now one of the etiquettes of a mosque is that you should pray what is called, I won't give you the Arabic term, but basically call it the welcoming prayer, right? The welcoming prayer. What do I mean by that? When you get into the mosque, make sure that you pray 2 units. As before you do anything else, before you sit down or anything like that, if the prayer hasn't started, there's a time that's going to be in there while you're just waiting. Or let's say there's a program going on at the mosque, some type of religious gathering, and it's not the prayer time right now. Walk into the mosque and make sure that if you're in the state of purification, go in and pray your 2 units. And that is one of the etiquettes of being at the mosque, is by praying those when you walk in. Also, onions and garlic. What does that have to do anything with? Again, it's not impermissible to eat onions and garlic in Islam. Of course, we can't live without these things. But when you're at a mosque, there's some etiquettes, which it all comes down to good breath. Good breath. Okay. And if you're eating garlic and onions, and a lot of Mediterranean food has garlic and onions, and even South Asian food has a lot of onion and garlic. Our foods are not, ready unless we have onions and garlic in them. But then your breath also is going to smell. So the key is make sure you have good breath when you are walking in the mosque. You don't want to make it uncomfortable for other people. Sometimes you have kitchens at the mosque for functions. Make sure that in your prayer area, you're not getting the smell of onions and garlic, because it will make the life of other people very uncomfortable. Business at a mosque is not allowed. You can't be coming to the mosque and make a transaction, because Prophet actually told us that if somebody's doing a business at the mosque, you should actually pray against it, that may God do not give you God doesn't give you barakah or blessing in your business. You don't want to be so it's actually because mosques are places of worship to get closer to Allah. So you don't want to be doing anything related to business as well over there. Same thing with seeking for lost items. And of course, if you lost it at the mosque, what do you got to do? You're gonna go and maybe they have a lost and found section at the mosque. But let's say you lost a camel. For whatever reason, if you had a camel and it's just roaming around, you can't be going to the mosque and say, hey, did somebody find my camel? Or I lost my car, somebody stole it, can somebody find my car? You can't be doing that, because it's not a place where you are looking for your worldly things or trying to do transactions as well. Talking loud. Remember, there are people who are praying and you don't want to be disturbing them. So the key is that you keep it down, or don't even talk about the worldly items, and just walk out of the mosque, the main prayer hall, and then do your talking over there. But you should not be talking loud at the mosque as well. And then finally, there's a story about a person who used to clean the mosque. And when that person passed away, died, Prophet didn't know about it. So he asked about it. Where's that person who used to clean the mosque? And the companions of the Prophet said that, that person passed away. And he was very upset. Why didn't you tell me? Because all we know about this person is the person who used to clean the mosque. And there was a lot of reward in it. And the Prophet Muhammad prayed the funeral prayer funeral prayer for this person, in order to ask that person's forgiveness, because he or she used to be very involved in cleaning the mosque. So we should try our best. Of course, we have the mosque's management who takes care of that. But if you see anything that is sitting around which is going to be, making the place dirty, make sure that you clean that up. And some of the etiquettes of the mosque. So we covered basically how the mosque looks like, the direction of the mosque, that it should be towards the Kaaba, the virtues, and also some of the etiquettes of the mosque. And I will see you in our next lesson.